Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Tough Coffee Shop Talk. I'm your host, Rhonda. And this week, we're going to talk about what if you couldn't tell a lie? I recently read The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck, and in there, she speaks about how she went a year without telling a lie. And that includes little white lies and even lying to yourself and staying silent. So I thought it'd be a great conversation. But first, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. As each week, I meet with the members from the Tough Collaborative to chat about varying topics. And each week, you can join me here as I review that topic of the week. We have a wide range of topics, discussing anything from business building techniques to personal development ideas. And the best part is, I feel that the topics can touch anybody, no matter what their adventure is in life. If you're a self-employed entrepreneur, work in a corporation, stay-at-home parent, retired, or even in between jobs, I think there's a little bit for everyone. So I'd like to dive right in. Let's get to this week's conversation of the week. So again, today we're going to talk about The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck. This book was actually recommended to me by my friend, Krista Lee Froze. She's actually Crystal's aunt and an author of The Journey to Joy. And I was messaging with her one day while I was in the bookstore going, hey, I know that you like to do lots of personal development stuff. Do you have any books to recommend? And this is one of them. She had a long list and it was a good chat via text, but definitely one of the books that she recommended. And I really enjoyed the book because just like any other book, it just made me think differently about things. And I really think that's the point of personal development, is just to allow you to kind of reflect and turn inward a little bit to see how they can affect you. So, if it sparks something in you to think just a little bit differently, then I believe you're getting what you should out of that particular book. And even if it isn't totally the intended topic of the book, getting something out of it is always nice. And for me, for this book, the thing that stuck with me this time, and I'll probably read the book again, was just that she intentionally chose to go 1 year without telling a lie because she wanted to get in tune with her integrity. And I just found it quite fascinating to even contemplate not telling a lie for that period of time. Is just incredible. But first, let's just look at the definition of integrity. It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. So again, definition of integrity: the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. So by being honest and staying in tune with your morality, the things that you believe in, and by telling the truth about these things or not telling a lie, ultimately you can become more and more in tune with that integrity. And from Martha Beck, she went through a lot. I totally recommend the book. She talks about her history and the choices she had to make and the consequences that came of those choices. Because not telling a lie for that period of time, it was huge for her, and it had huge implications on her life. Things that, were very traumatic, honestly. Like she had violence against her family and all of these things. But she still, years later, believes that she believes in what she did. She has no regrets in doing it because she is more in tune with herself and happier having chosen to, go the way of integrity and not telling a lie for that year. And for me, it's just the consideration of what that even means. And by being aware of it, of course, then you notice all of these things in your life that you might not be being completely truthful about. And it can be simple things like, how are you today? And the instant response, especially as if you're a Canadian like I am, is I'm fine. There's not the honest answer of, oh, it could be better, or the day is not that that great. Or, hey, I'm having a spectacular day. We don't even go that direction, right? It's always just the compulsory, I'm fine. So now when I'm having conversations with people and I ask them, those simple questions of, how are you today? And the answer is typically, I'm fine, or I'm good. I wonder, and sometimes even ask, depending on who the person is, how are you? Like, really? Is everything okay? Tell me. It's okay to be honest with me. So something simple like that, for me, helps me create deeper relationships. Because I'm actually taking the time to care about if they're fine or not. Like, if they really are fine, right? Not taking their answer as, the face value of it all, and digging a little bit deeper so that they can tell the truth and, be with their integrity and be truthful about, how they really are. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's like, you know what? Actually, you're right. I am really great today. I'm having a fantastic day. And then you get to hear about, why that is. Or it can be the opposite. That is, I've had better days, and, this is what's going on. And sometimes just giving people that opportunity to be heard is powerful. And the key is to actually just listen, right? So if you open up that conversation, just let them be heard, in the good and the bad, because it'll create that powerful conversation. But back to the not being able to tell a lie. There's actually some situations where this is actually not, maybe disorder isn't the right word, but compulsory honesty can happen after a traumatic event. This has been studied, and I find it very interesting because in these situations, you actually can't tell a lie. Like, your brain is programmed after whatever this traumatic event was, after some sort of trauma, to not be able to lie. And I think it's super fascinating because I'm curious if that person, now obviously they've been through something likely horrendous, so obviously they have recovery to do, but I wonder if not being able to tell a lie, if you embrace it, can be liberating. Like, can it really enlighten you and really get you in tune with your integrity and who you truly are, and allow you to align with your morals and values strongly, like Martha Beck says in the book, The Way of Integrity. I just find that fascinating. I'm sure it would be incredibly challenging as well to not be able to tell a lie, especially after a traumatic event, because you've got other things that are, overarching over that. But I just find it quite interesting. But in our everyday lives, we have different types of lies that we tell or don't tell. So there's the how are you lie that we just talked about. But there is also the white lie. Anybody who's got kids probably told a white lie time or two to spare someone's feelings. Like, oh, I bought this new dress. What is it? Do you like it? Yes, of course I like it, right? Or, hey, mommy, do you like my picture? And, sometimes, of course, we love our children so much that even if their picture is kind of not that great, we're going to say yes. But if they ask, is it my picture beautiful? Well, we'll probably still say yes because we believe it is. But others may not feel the same way because they are not their children. White lies can also be fibbing about why you can't go for coffee with somebody, making something up because instead of telling the truth that you just don't want to go, or you don't feel like it, or you don't want to get out of bed today, you just say, oh, I've got something else. So, these are things that I've become more aware of in my life of when I'm doing these, simply because of this book and having, instilled this. Do I still lie from time to time? Sure. I definitely have not, jumped in with both feet because there's situations that I do not want to have the discomfort of telling the truth, ultimately. Even though it maybe doesn't align with what my moral values are, it's a choice I'm making at the time. And being aware helps me understand that that is indeed a choice of what I'm saying. But for me, honestly, the hardest one for me to break, if I were to choose to go 1 year without telling a lie, would be remaining silent. So remaining silent is also not living in integrity and not, and in essence, lying in some fashion. So say you're at a family dinner and a topic comes up that you don't agree with, but you don't jump in and defend or add to the conversation to align with your moral values. Or you sit through a situation that's uncomfortable instead of speaking up and stating your truths that, align with your moral values. That's the harder one for me because I am a conflict avoider. I don't like conflict. So often I'll choose to remain silent than to speak up about a conversation or in a conversation that I don't agree with what's being said or I don't agree what's happening. But here's the thing. For days, weeks, even months after sometimes, I replay those conversations and I sit in that wallow of not speaking up. So the consequence, truly, of not speaking up is actually likely bigger than if I were to have spoke up in the first place. And obviously it's something that I would have to work on, but I think it's a real thing for many people. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the only one who struggles so much with staying silent and the consequences to that and that conflict avoidance. But I kind of doubt it. I feel like there's probably other people out there like me that struggle with that. So, back to the topic of being unable to tell a lie, that would be the hardest one for me. I could probably, get past the white lies and stop doing that. I could probably, start telling the truth when people ask me how I'm doing. I could probably start telling the truth in those difficult situations when somebody asks me a direct question. It's the staying silent would be the most difficult thing for me. And it all comes down to the conflict avoidance. And I guess maybe there's another podcast in there somewhere. Maybe I need to research conflict avoidance and, find strategies to help me deal with that, because I don't like conflict. There's no question. I do not like to have that, sit in that situation and make myself intentionally uncomfortable. Obviously there's probably exceptions to that where I will speak up more often than not, likely around my family as an example. But, there's definitely situations where I stay silent when it doesn't align. Anyway, so those are kind of the areas that I think would be the most challenging. And again, I find it very interesting to even contemplate not telling a lie. I think it makes me a better person to even just consider what that means, makes me more aware of what's happening around me. And I'm curious, give it a try. Just pay attention. If you're listening to this podcast and you are curious what that really means, just take a few days and pay attention to when you are telling the white lie or the little fib or staying silent, and see how many times that if you were to choose to not tell a lie, what that would feel like. And then I guess the other piece that you can go into is, if I were to tell the truth right now, what is the good and the bad that comes from that? And that's why we choose to lie. Let's be real. We choose to lie because we think that it'll be less pain right now. We don't want to have the conflict. We don't want to have the conversation. We don't want to go into it. We don't want to hurt someone's feelings. So we will just tell that lie in the moment. So when you are, going through your days and you find instances where you're telling that fib or that lie, what would be the consequence or the reward to do the opposite of what you would normally do? And likely there's some sort of instant pain, if I had to guess. But like my staying silent, what's the long-term pain by not speaking up or by telling the lie? Are you adding to these things over time and it's compounding? Because think about the lie that you tell. Oh, I can't go for dinner because I have an appointment with so-and-so. And then that friend sees so-and-so and then it gets awkward, right? You can create this trap and then it builds and it builds and it builds and you end up with a bigger pain in the end. But anyway, so that concludes the episode this week. I hope, just like reading the book did to me, I hope that it just entices you to think a little bit differently and be a little bit more aware. But I really want to thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. I'd love it if you also shared this episode with someone. So if you want to take the challenge and, buddy up with somebody, now would be a good chance to share it with someone. But please hit that subscribe, follow along, as I'd love for you to come back week to week as I drop episodes. And if you're looking for more information on the Tough Collaborative membership, check out toughinstitute.com, which is TUFinstitute.com. And if you want more information on me and my real estate business, check out rhondalavoie.exprealty.com. And if you're looking for me on socials, I'm on Instagram, rhondalavoie_TUF. And on Facebook, you can just search for my personal profile of Rhonda Lavoie. Love it if you reached out. I like to hear from anybody. Kind of gives me that reward of the effort that I put in to bring the podcast here from week to week. So yeah, by all means, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. I really hope you have a marvelous day, and I can't wait to bring you an episode again next week.